Will 8,000 sales be had just for the Tonica sisters? Yes. This project will fund just because of the Tonica sisters. Hey guys, it's David from Red Wagon Dioramas, and let's talk about this Haslab, the Cantina. Today was the big announcement. Hasbro finally revealed it. It is June 7th, 2024, for those watching in the future. Let's talk about the Haslab itself, what's in it, and at the end of this video, I will tell you whether I think I'm going to buy it or not. Please leave me comments below. I'm very interested in what other people think about this. All right, so first of all, what is the Haslab? The Haslab is the cantina from Mos Eisley, from the first Star Wars movie. One of the most famous scenes of all of Star Wars. I mean, aside from maybe the Death Star hallway, the cantina has got to be one of the most memorable, iconic type scenes for all of Star Wars. So that being said, I think it's a great choice for Haslab. I think there is a lot of demand for a cantina playset. We haven't had one since 1982 or whenever the original one came out from Kenner, that little one, which I have on the shelf behind me, and I love it. I love that Cantina playset. It's cool. But to have an official Hasbro playset, I think is pretty neat. The playset itself has the bar, it has the exterior facade for the entrance to the cantina, which is nice. You can do some like shots of the outside facade. It's got the entrance corridor, the archway, and the stairs that turn the corner down to the cantina. Then of course you've got the bar itself, which is full size. I think that's awesome. And then around the bar, you've got 3 different of those arched booths where Han and Greedo have their, meeting, and a couple other little archway connector pieces, and then lots of furniture, lots of tables, chairs, stools, and lots of cups. The bar itself, I think, looks really cool. Like the detail they put into all the pipes and the canisters and the hoses and all the accessories on the bar. I mean, that looks pretty darn cool. Now let's talk about price. This is interesting because this Haslab is being offered at 2 different tiers. You've got the base price for $399, and then you've got the deluxe price, extra $100, $499. The base offering has everything you see in that first picture, and then basically if you pay an extra $100, you get the other half of the cantina with the other booths, and they have different accessories on the walls and some different details that you don't get in the booths with the original base set. So I think that's a decent offering. I like that they're not forcing everybody to buy the big, huge set, giving people an option to kind of scale back a little bit. I'm guessing that most people are going to buy the base offering, and I don't think there's going to be that many of the deluxe sets sold. The reason you might want to buy the full deluxe set, I think, is if you have kind of like a coffee table display, or you've got a really, really deep, big shelf, like those big rack shelves, because the dimensions on that, it says it's like 32 inches long and 29 inches deep. I mean, that's huge. That's a table-sized display. Most shelves, are 10 inches or 12 inches deep, so that's really not deep enough even to put just the bar on with the booths in the background. So you really got to buy a special shelf for this, even if you display half of it. Like that IKEA shelf there is 15 inches deep. So that's a pretty deep shelf, but it's not deep enough for this cantina set. Like I would not be able to put the full depth of that on this shelf behind me. So that's a problem for me. I'm really thinking about like, where would I put this? Where would I display it? The Hasbro team did do a good job pointing out that it's modular, that all the pieces come apart, that you can rearrange it, put it in different configurations. You could part it out and put, the exterior wall on one part of your collection and then have like the hallway on another part and the bar somewhere else, or maybe just use one of the booths if you want. That is a smart design decision on the part of Hasbro to make it modular, and so you can move it around and only use parts and pieces that you need. And what are my opinions on the price? I think $400 is kind of what I expected for this. I always think the Haslabs are priced too high. They're always like $50, $75 too high, Why can't you guys lower the price and up the minimum order quantity? Then you make your profit, right? They're only requiring 8,000 sales in order to fund this thing, which I think is kind of low for Star Wars. The Razor Crest, I think, sold 23,000 or something like that. And the Ghost, I'm not sure how many the Ghost, but the Ghost was up there too. Bottom line is I think the price is kind of okay for what Hasbro's been doing. It lines up with the other Haslabs they've done. Certainly the 3D printer guys out there could print all these walls and alcoves in the bar and all that stuff for much less money. However, it's all the accessories and the detail that you get that I think makes it unique and makes it worth the price. All the stuff at the bar I think is really intricate, and that would require resin printing, and that probably would add up to a good amount of money for that kind of detail. So I think the value here is in the really small details that come with the set. So that being said, I think 400 is fine. An extra $100 for the other half, that seems like they're really kind of price gouging there, because there's not much new tooling there. It's just some of the wall panels, and all they got to do is produce a couple more sections. So the extra $100 seems like a stretch for me. I'm not a fan of that. Now, some of the comments I've seen today is like, well, why doesn't it have a floor? Why doesn't it have a roof? That doesn't really bother me. Honestly, if they put a cardboard floor in there, there'd be tons of comments about, oh yeah, cardboard Hasbro, here we go again. Believe me, there will be third-party sellers out there who will be selling floor panels for this. Same thing with the roof. You don't really want a roof on this because you want to be able to get your hands in there and move the figures around and everything. It depends where you put it in your display. Like, does it really bother you not seeing the roof of it? I guess if you're kind of looking up at it, it might. But if you have it lower down, like in a coffee table setup or something, it might be cool to be able to look right down and see all the insides of the Cantina. So not having a roof isn't really a big deal for me. The one part that I do wish they had included would be some lights. I really thought that there would be like a lighting kit that would come, especially with the bar, because it's so cluttered in there and there's gonna be a lot of shadows and everything depending on what lights you have on your shelving. I just kind of expected that they would have some lighting kit in there. Figures, we didn't even talk about the figures yet. So in case you didn't know, you can see on the website, the base offering also includes 3 carded figures. There's the Tonica Sisters, which have never been released, so that is a huge, like, epic proportions deal for the collectors of TVC to finally get the Tonica Sisters. Never released in any scale, any iteration before. And then also you get Wooher the bartender, which just makes sense. So I think those 3 figures coming with the base offering is really good. And honestly, I think that's going to fund it right there. I think people will buy this set just for the Tonica Sisters. Will 8,000 sales be had just for the Tonica Sisters? Yes. This project will fund just because of the Tonica Sisters. Anyway, I think the figures are great for the base offering. And then, of course, the unlocked tiers are Greedo and then 2 other the aliens, which don't remember their names offhand, but it's the 4-armed alien with the gas mask and then one of the wolf bat type guys. Frankly, I don't collect TVC very much. For my displayed collection, I have a Black Series display, 6-inch figures, and I've got, for 3 3/4 inch, I've got my Kenner stuff right behind me. I don't have any place in my collection where I display 3.75 TVC figures. I just don't. That being said, the TVC collectors out there are going to eat these up. They're definitely going to want them carded, and I think a lot of TVC collectors will pull the trigger twice and buy this set a second time just so they can open a set and keep a set carded. Tell me if I'm wrong, TVC collectors, but I think that's really a possibility that I think a lot of you guys are going to buy 2 of these. For me, do I want those figures? No, I don't. I actually don't really care about those figures. Again, if I was collecting TVC, I would. If they were Black Series, I'd be all in. Give me the Black Series Tonica Sisters. Give me the Black Series Wooher. I would love them. If they were vintage Kenner style, the retro collection, I would definitely get Wooher or the Tonica Sisters. I actually do have a Wooher in my collection already from the next 17, and he's a great figure. So that being said, my big conclusion is, do I think it's a good Haslab? Yes, I think it's a good Haslab. Well done as far as the design. I think the price is okay. It's in line with what we kind of all expected from a Hasbro Haslab for Star Wars. Do I think it'll fund? Yes, I think it'll fund, again, just because of the Tonica Sisters. There's a crazy amount of fandom demand for those characters. Credit to Victoria's Cantina and others, obviously, who have been pushing it for years. I'm not even a TVC collector, and I know about that. Do I think it'll make all the tiers? I don't think so. I actually think it's going to peak around 10 or 12,000 because I think this is a hard piece to display. I think once you get past the carded figures that everybody wants, who is going to have room for this thing in their display? And I'm guessing a lot of pieces from the playset are going to stay in bins or boxed away, and really it's going to be those Tonica Sisters cards that are on display. I don't think they're going to get a lot of younger collectors with this offering. I mean, this seems really targeted towards older collectors who have a lot of loose figures, and figures, frankly, that haven't been sold for 20 plus years. For me, if I were to get this set, I would have to go out and buy a bunch of characters that I don't have right now. You may be able to tell where I'm going with this, because ultimately, am I going to buy it or not? I didn't pull the trigger today. I sat there, I looked at it, I almost did, and I stepped away from it. I was like, you know what? I don't think I have the right figures to populate this and make use of it. I don't really have a spot for it on my shelves. It just doesn't quite make sense for me. If this was a Black Series Haslab, I would be buying this. If this was 6-inch scale, I'd be buying it. And I know it'd be more money, but I would still be buying it. Now, one other factor with that, if it doesn't sell a bunch, we all know that also means in the secondary market, the value is going to go up. So it's kind of a catch-22 whether you buy or not, because if you want to buy for an investment, it might make sense to buy this. If they don't make that many of them, the price is going to go way up, and you'll be able to resell and probably double your money in a couple years, just like the sail barge. However, if a bunch of people start putting money into this to buy it as an investment, then the sales quantities go up, and then you won't have that investment. For example, the Sky Striker or the His Tank or even like Galactus, didn't really have the value bump like the Sentinel did, or what was one of the other they has, like Unicron. It's basic supply and demand economics again. The more they make, the less value it has. I think a lot of people honestly will keep the figures and then try to sell the diorama pieces. And that's where I come in. I think I'm going to be hanging around in the secondary market after this comes through. I'm going to try to pick up the playset basically without the figures. It might be fun to try, have some of those booths and some of those backdrops with my retro collection, with my Kenner figures, for example. And that's fine. I'm just not the target niche for this offering. I mean, this is me. I'm really into Black Series and the retro collection, the vintage Kenner. TVC is less important to me. So I think I'm going to pass on this Haslab for now. And like I said, if somebody wants to buy it and you're looking to sell your diorama pieces later, next year sometime, reach out to me. Maybe if I haven't picked it up yet, I'd be willing to buy those pieces off of you. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button for me. Please leave me a comment below. I want to know what you guys think. And let's see how this campaign goes. Here's some other videos on my channel you can watch, and I will catch you on the next one. May the Force be with you. Bye.